Hi, this is Evan Moody from Nothing Worthwhile. Unfortunately, on last week's podcast, I made a comment about social media whores that some considered to be offensive. If I did offend you, I deeply apologize from the bottom of my heart. What I was simply trying to say is not all whores are very social and...
Moody. Stop. Enough of this shit.
Gru, cut to the opening signature.
You got it.
Yes, please press the button.
I've pressed the button. We are on.
You're on. You've pressed the button.
I pressed the button this time.
Thank goodness. Rue, I think we were both very pleased with season 2, though I am curious. I did not ask you, up to that point, did you have a preference of season 1 versus season 2? Which one do you think was the better season?
I really think the better season was season 2. Because it just, but it's tough to do that because you don't take anything away from season 1. Season 1 was incredible and it was such a surprise and it was so good and it just fired on all cylinders. And then they just found a way to just top themselves by, we talked about that. So yes, I did like season 2 better than I liked season 1, but there's nothing I don't like about season 1. So,
yeah. I wrote in my notes, I did prefer season 1 ever so slightly over season 2, but I didn't write any notes as to why. So, I can't really comment on it. Probably, I always think that first movie in a series, that first television, that first season is usually the most pure creatively, but I didn't put any notes, so.
Yeah, I just like how they fleshed out some minor characters from the first season into the second season. They took characters in places that we didn't expect them to go. They brought in some new ones, which is always exciting. And the addition
you don't think the way they sort of opened with Johnny's perspective, Daniel is kind of a rich turd, then he kind of makes it, and how they introduced those young characters and got them really woven into the fabric pretty quick. I think probably that's what I was maybe thinking when I said season 1 was probably slightly better than season 2.
Well, I think, what they did was, and I'll use the word again, miraculous. Sorry, Craig. That's just the hardest thing to do, to get us to care about new characters while the old characters are still hanging around. And actually, I have a very good comparison, a movie comparison. I think really the only franchises able to really do it well are Cobra Kai and the Creed movies. The Creed movies they work because it's just as much about Rocky Balboa as it is about Adonis Creed. If we,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it's an apt comparison because you're talking about television, which is a novelization and it's across many parts, versus a movie, which is a standalone story from beginning to end. I hear what you're saying.
Well, just what I mean is just the idea of blending the old with the new, no matter what format. Like, I think Star Wars failed, as I've mentioned. They just,
I don't believe it failed. I just think
I love Star Wars.
You're a hardcore fan. I'm not. I don't want to get into Star Wars.
Okay.
I'm not as a hardcore fan as you are. As a pure level movie, they're enjoyable. I mean, perhaps if I knew the characters more, I might be fired up because Jar Jar Stinks is not in part 7.
That's not what I mean. I meant with these all I mean is with these latest ones, they seem to just have the old cast there to sell us on the new cast and pass the torch, as it were. The Terminator did the same thing and failed. You can't have Sarah Connor and Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Terminator movie just to make us care about the two new people. And that's what they did. The story was the same with or without them. Okay? The story of Cobra Kai and the story of Creed is rooted in the in Rocky and Daniel and Johnny respectively. The same. Nothing changes about the plot in the Star Wars sequels or in whatever I just mentioned. Nothing really changes. They don't factor in.
Thank you. Stunning commentary from Andrew Gruth.
Well, do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yes, I did text you. I caught on Mad Dog Sports. Martin Kove was being interviewed by Mike Babchek, the Morning Men guys, and there was one interesting point that I have not heard. And the original Karate Kid, I believe, was 35 years ago. And the point of the conversation was, has there been an entertainment entity, television show, movie, 35 years ago was a massive hit, and now 35 years later, I mean, quite a gap of time, and I couldn't really think of anything that was, had such a, you're almost going 40 years from the first piece to the second, and, Cobra Kai is undoubtedly a massive hit because it's brought in guys like you and me who are fans of the original and young kids with the teen actors, and I don't know. It was an interesting point. I hadn't heard somebody bring that up yet.
I can't think of any franchise that has been able to do that without sprinkling in things throughout the years. Like Star Wars never really went away. Rocky never really went away. Karate Kid basically disappeared from 1989 until 2018. So yeah, that's a tricky. Like I said, it's a great magic trick.
Gru, let's tackle the junior season for Cobra Kai. In a huge move, Cobra Kai moved to the streaming service giant Netflix. Why? Well, courtesy of Thrillist.com, what Cobra Kai moving to Netflix means for the YouTube's hit Karate Kid series. So I'm going to kind of try to summarize. Cobra Kai first premiered to YouTube in 2018. No one expected the throwback martial arts drama to have an impact, but it did. Just 3 years after YouTube Red, now known as YouTube Premium, launched, providing a slate of original scripted programming to compete with the big-time streamers such as Netflix and Hulu, the platform hit it big with the nostalgic return to the world of Karate Kid. Now the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai are hopping over to Netflix, and the streamer is producing a 3rd season to hit the platform sometime in 2021. Cobra Kai scored an impressive 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes when it first appeared, which as an accomplishment unto itself, let alone for a video platform widely known for its massive library of user-generated content. But after 34 years, where had Daniel and Johnny landed? So it talks about the Cobra Kai show. The Google-owned service announced that they'll be phasing out YouTube Red, calling it YouTube Premium, and moving to an ad-supported business model. The article goes on to say YouTube's strategy change, moving from original programming back to ad-supported original content, doesn't come as a surprise. Even as they were working to bring a variety of original programming to the platform, viewers were hesitant to pay for yet another streaming service as the cluttered content space continues to become more crowded. The pivot to a more unscripted focus also doubled down on what originally made YouTube successful. It's always been a place where social media creators and influencers have hit it big with their reality-focused vlogs and shows. Netflix esteems slate and global reach were a huge factor in the decision made by Sony TV, the company that owns the series, to place the project in their hands. Let's see here. So Gru, off the top of our heads, we could already think of, the article goes on to talk about the endless possibilities of the Karate Kid universe on Netflix. They talked about perhaps even shows about Mr. Miyagi's backstory, touching upon the events of Karate Kid Part 3 and moving forward. Article goes, so here, let me summarize. It's a long article, but the article makes a lot of sense as YouTube is basically returning back to its core roots, while Netflix plucks away one of the biggest hits from one of its smaller competitors. Kind of has a New York Yankees free agency type of feel to it. Gru, thoughts on Cobra Kai leaving YouTube premium for the massive landscape of Netflix?
Well, I think it's a great thing for Cobra Kai. It's it's turned from like a small but rabid fan base to worldwide acclaim, which is always great. It's going to get a bigger budget. So they'll be able to do more things. Hopefully they won't abuse that budget. But it was, YouTube, I think what they wanted to do, they wanted to use Cobra Kai as sort of a launch pad for them to start producing more original material. But the service, like you said, there's already too many streaming platforms out there. But the difference is that all of these streaming platforms, number one, they cost less money than YouTube Premium, and they offer 10 times as much stuff. YouTube Premium basically offered one original show, Cobra Kai, and an option to have watch ad-free videos on there. That's basically it. So they realized that when Cobra Kai might have been too good, because anything else that they were going to come up with was probably going to pale by comparison. So I think but it was YouTube that said that the third season, which they still produced, was going to be its last. They were not going to finance another season, which is when the creators, I think Sony Television, went looking for other platforms because they weren't done. And Netflix, I guess, was either the highest bidder or gave him like a multi-season commitment or whatever. But it was YouTube who said, okay, this is going to be it. And the creators were like, all right, well, we're not done, so we're going somewhere else. And everybody seemed to be okay with that. The only negative thing about it was that it it really pissed off a lot of fans, because as excited as they and we were for the move to Netflix, we were also expecting the show to drop in May, and as you know, it didn't drop until January. It just seemed ridiculous. It just seemed ridiculous that it would take 6-something months to just put on a TV show that already was filmed, edited, and ready to go. But we're here, we got it, and we're happy. Now we just have to wait another year. But
all right, listen, all you Karate Kid nerds, just chill out. All right, May, June, who cares?
A May June.
Look, here's what
was that a May June right? Romance?
Yeah, here's what I'll say. The article makes sense. Probably the most cost-effective way for a YouTube service to remain relevant it probably costs a lot of money to put original, creative, Hollywood-type content on their television movies. And YouTube is really, it's like a proving ground for, like they said, ad-generated, user-generated content. I live in Arizona, for example. I watch a New York Knicks fan channel. I don't get all the games. So I watch these two guys from like Queens break down the games afterwards. I enjoy it, I think that was probably the best way to go for a YouTube service. And I, for one, am glad that Netflix picked it up.
Me too.
It's a great show. It should be on one of the biggest platforms, and I think Netflix is the biggest one out there still. And so
it certainly is.
Cobra Kai,
and Cobra Kai's not the first.
Good for Netflix.
Yeah, and it's not the first show that they've done that with. They did it, I think, with Arrested Development. That was a hit somewhere else, so and they did it with a show called You. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's basically
You was on Lifetime, and then Netflix picked it up.
Yeah, that's my autobiography. It's about a stalker.
Stop it! Stop it!
Oh, come on! I thought you would laugh at that.
Yeah, that was also. I mean, first season great, second season got a little.
I actually didn't watch the second season yet. I did love the first season. I did really. I really
you should.
I will.
And actually, you should come to the next show and follow up. I always say, you tell me watch this. I always watch it for the next show.
Okay.
You should watch season 2.
Well, you just said it wasn't that good, though.
Well, a parody. It's very, very tough. Look, let's get to it. You ready? You want to break down? You ready? Come on. You ready to break down season 3?
Let's do it live.
All right. It's time for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. Season 3, episode 1. Gru, it's Aftermath.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
All of our Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdowns are sponsored by New You Life Center. Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine named them in the top 15 med spas to watch in 2021. No goal is too big. No journey is too far. Check them out at www.newoulifecenters.com, NUYOULifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. A big New You thank you to Marie and Dr. Cynthia. All right, here we go. Karate riot, brawl at the bar, hugs not hits, some sort of karate footloose. We're all buddies here. Sam's still shaking, so we're missing a car. West Valley General. Robbie, where are you? I think I need to see a doctor. All of this started before you were born. I failed you. I'm so sorry. Never give up. The dojo is going through some renovations. You're not going to do anything. Not while I'm around. What happened to you? Daniel and Johnny team up to find Robbie. All this and more. Gru, your thoughts on episode 1 of season 3, Aftermath.
I love this. I love how they're not doing time jumps. At least not yet. They're literally starting where the previous season leaves off, and I think that's perfect. So they don't have to make any excuses for, why does this person look like that or doing this? And there's a lot happening in this episode, not the least of which is Johnny and Daniel having to team up to find that kid, and their short-lived adventure is both like fist pumping and hilarious at the same time. That's the best part of this opener. But I also love.
Okay, that when they fight the gang like in the car? Is this the episode where they fight the goons in the
but also when they're riding in the car and their chemistry. Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm like, this is Riggs and Murtaugh. This is, and they actually go and say Tango and Cash. Like all these things are it's just to me, it's hilarious, but it's also great. You're seeing these guys who are constant rivals. It's like seeing Piper and Hogan as a tag team. They hate each other, but they got to beat Hogan and Bundy. I'm sorry, Andre and Bundy. It's like, and it's so much fun, and everybody, and seeing the aftermath, and Miguel's going to wake up, but it's you still, because you're so invested in these characters and invested in the writing, you're still worried about him because he's not woken up yet, even though he does at the very, very end of the episode. But you're still in your mind, you're still praying for him. Robbie's on the run, who we care about too. He did something stupid, something wrong, but we know he's not a bad kid. Yet we see that he's probably going to be forced to sort of go back to the dark side, shades of that. So there's a lot going on here, and that's the best thing you can say about a pickup episode. You don't want any dead spots. You want it to just keep going. They don't have to do any big time recaps or anything. You know what I mean? It's a great opener.
God, you're
what?
Your dialogue is so over the top when you speak of Cobra Kai. Couple of things. I do agree with you. I like that they pick it up right from the last moment. Mm-hmm. I had a mild laugh with the school board meeting and the hugs not hits program.
Yeah.
Typical school board, garbage. I did like Daniel and Johnny's adventure up to this point. I liked it. I will say, when they do fight in the
chop shop,
the car garage. Yeah, listen, Ralph Macchio is not so fluid with his karate. William Zabka is definitely a little bit more fluid with the karate. Just saying, but it was fun to see those guys.
And Ralph definitely needs a new toupee. That's definite.
Okay, you really want to come out and say that? Because I've started to notice the hairline is a little funky.
Yes, he's definitely wearing a toupee. Definitely.
All right. Well, we'll leave it on that note.
But wait. You mentioned something that oh God. See, I'm just losing my mind here.
You know,
you just said something.
The bane of my existence is when Gru goes, but wait.
No, but you said something that I wanted to comment on. What did you just say?
Go ahead. I mentioned the hugs, not hits was cute.
Yes, at the meeting, the school board meeting. Did you, one of the best moments was when Daniel stood up and started talking about bullying and some voice in the back yells, "Shut up, I heard you were the real bully." I love that play on the whole, who was the real bully from the Karate Kid. And I happen to know that the guy who said that was one of the writers, Josh Heald. One of the creators was that voice.
Yeah, well, they're just trying to give that little force.
But that's what I love. But I love that. I love that they can break that fourth wall just a tiny little bit, and give little crumbs of insider stuff without. When I love something, girls out there. When I love something, I love something.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? Watch You on Netflix, starring Andrew All right, I'm excited to break down this season. Let's move on to episode 2. It's another Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. Episode 2, Nature versus Nurture.
Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown.
The beginnings of Sensei Kreese. This is what rehab is like. Class, I want to introduce you to a little friend. You're off the team. Now get out! Good cop, bad cop. How about no cop? Tori gets a visit from Kreese. Oh, you're too good for gas station food? Why, yes, I am. Daniel and Johnny go full buddy cop movie. I can't believe you actually taught kids. I did what you taught me. I showed mercy, and look what happened to me. Daniel finds Robbie at rehab. Don't bother. Nichols. Welcome back. Andrew Gruthius, thoughts on episode 2, Nature versus Nurture.
I loved it. I love every episode in this season, so I'm not gonna, spoiler alert. But I love the scene at the rehab with the woman who plays Robbie's mother is really terrific, and she's used sparingly.
All 3 minutes.
But you believe it. What?
You are so over the top with this show.
I am. I think I'm invested. I really am, and so I really enjoy that scene.
So there's not one criticism of
a little bit of there are little bits of criticism.
Yeah, I got a few.
I'm going to give you my main criticism of this episode.
Wait till we get to it. We get to the episode
of this episode.
Go ahead.
I'm not sold on the Vietnam flashbacks. They don't ring that true. I love the story of them. I love the story of them, but I think a bigger budget would have helped those much more.
Here's the deal, and I'm not going to spoil it until we get to it.
Okay.
They're done for a reason, and when I see the first one, I'm like, wow. It's really super cool. It's like the 50s or the 60s, and you want to see the psychology of what happened to Sensei Kreese. But they're done for a specific purpose, and I'll get into that later on.
Yeah.
We do episode breakdowns, and so I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, I agree with you. I love the story of it. I just don't think it was very well executed. That's my problem. Budget wise, yeah, maybe you're right. It didn't.
It looked. I felt like it looked worse when they moved into the Vietnam stuff.
Well, that you know what? That's kind of what I'm talking about. That stuff at the diner with Betsy and all that. That stuff's great. I love it. And when he's leaving,
great.
yes, yeah, that's terrific.
So, right. Initially, I'm like, this is cool. I'll explain my thoughts on where they took it. Now, if there is a criticism on this, which I wrote, I feel like here, like you mentioned Tango and Cash. Here, this episode to me is like Daniel and Johnny buddy cop, and it kind of got a little hammy. Like,
definitely. But you know what? And you'll hate me for saying it, okay? But
I don't hate you. No, I mean, what's the purpose of doing a recap if you can't say that there's something perhaps that you could change?
It's absolutely hammy. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely over the top. But as far as I'm concerned, the show has earned it. They can do these things without fans going, "Oh, forget it. Come on." Like that. So yes, that chop shop thing is way over the top. But it's so much fun to watch because you love these two guys and you'll go with them. You'll follow them anywhere they go. Is it ridiculous? Of course, the whole thing is ridiculous. The cops would have stopped this episode 2 of season 1. None of this should be happening. But it's Fantasyland and it's just great. And I just love how they did it. But yes, you're right. The choreography is a little bit lacking. Definitely. Ralph is not selling it the way he used to be able to. Remember, he is, I don't know how many years older than Zabka he is, but, he's a lot older than he looks. So I think he's pushing 60, if I'm not mistaken. He looks like he's 25, but,
I think he's 57 or 58. How old is Zabka?
I think Zabka's a good 5 or 6 years younger. And that's a big that's a big 5 or 6 years. But, Macho has always had that fountain of youth thing going. But, I know Johnny was like 17 or 18. Zabka, when they did Karate Kid, Macho was 23. So, I do know that. So, but one more thing that I love about this episode, another scene when Miguel, tells Johnny to get out. Like, I think, the actor, Jolo Maraduena, really brings it this season, as an actor. And
can you please repeat that name?
Jolo Maraduena. That's how you pronounce it.
I really want to. I wish we had like Fred for a drop. I think I just played.
His performance in that scene where he basically just says, you taught me to do this, and look at me now, and he tells him to get out. It's really the first time that Miguel has really, said F you to Johnny. And it's a very powerful scene, very well done. And
I absolutely agree. Yeah. And he's a fine young actor.
Yes.
All right.
So, what would you rate the episode out of 10?
Oh, wow. It's tough because there's so many episodes that I won't give it a numerical. I'll just say I know I was a little bit critical of the Daniel and Johnny. It just felt very Tango and Cashy, very hammy, buddy cop kind of thing. And see, I think we're different in terms of how we watch stuff, because I have said, for example, I won't get off topic, but when you take something like a movie that's sort of ridiculous and they take it seriously, I can buy into it. And it's not that I have not bought into Cobra Kai, but I have some definite opinions of season 3 as we move forward. But I don't want it to fall into soap opera-ish parody. And, you say like, hey, they've earned it. And, I don't disagree, but I don't know if I agree. Cobra Kai, I want it to be serious, and even the ridiculous stuff, take it seriously, because then I buy into it. When it starts getting a little hammy over the top, any of these projects, they start to lose me a little bit, and I hope I'm making sense here.
You are making sense, and what I mean, I think we just disagree a little bit, because what I mean by earning it is that the care that these writers and the actors that they put into this, with even the most minute details, that's how they earn it. They don't half-ass anything. So
that I agree.
I agree.
Right.
So they sort of earn these, in my opinion, these over the top moments. It makes you cringe a little bit sometimes, but then you can just get lost in it and just have fun with it, which is what they want us to do.
And I do agree that the creative team behind Cobra Kai clearly have a love for the Karate Kid franchise. They know it in depth, and it shows. It definitely shows. So, all right. Let's move on, Andrew. It's time for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 3. Now you're gonna pay.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Bobby at the pulpit. What about that time in Reno? What are you looking at, newbie? Is business getting any better? Tom Cole, what the hell are you doing here? I want the whole shebang. Everybody's got a sob story. Doesn't give you the right to be a bully. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Sex positive feminists at the car wash fundraiser. Yeah. Love this scene. When do we start, boss? Robbie gets beat down. Johnny visits Sid reluctantly. Johnny grabs a piece before leaving. Hash Brown, me too. Cobra Kai steals the money. Tom Cole and Page 9. Exclusive deal with Doyona International. Grandma convinces Johnny to stay. Sam takes over. And Daniel is back in Tokyo. Andrew Grew, episode 3. Now you're going to pay.
Yeah, another. Like I said, I love them all. This does have one thing that in all of the seasons that if I could erase one ongoing storyline, it would be this thing with Tom Cole. He's the only character that kind of bores me a little bit. Cause I'm not interested in his rivalry with the dueling car companies. So I didn't need that. Even though it does serve the plot, gives him the reason to go to Japan and eventually Okinawa, but I'm just not interested in that character and his antagonism. But I will say that I love anytime they could bring Bobby into this thing. I love it because he's always been like, I've always really liked that character from the first movie. He was like the only Cobra to ever like show any kind of mercy towards Daniel, in specific scenes. And the actor does a terrific job. I love that he's a pastor. It's ripe for comedy when Johnny doesn't know the difference between a priest and a pastor. Like he's like, you can't even get laid, like whatever. He's like, I'm not a priest, Johnny. I think all that's funny. And he's, the actor Ron Thomas is, he delivers. He's a sensei in real life. He's like a real-time karate dude. So, it's funny when he has to knock him out in front of his congregation. And it's not just fan service because he is going to be part of the plot.
Enough with the fan service.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to, that's the point. Everything that these writers bring in is there for a reason. It's not just to say, oh, look at that painting on the wall. Remember that from Karate Kid 2? No, everything's got to mean something, and that's part of the success of the show. So yeah, and I love the grandmother, Yaya is what they call her. I wish she was in this season more. I think this was like her only scene, where she talks to Johnny. But you could see where things are going, and it's really picking up and gaining steam. Robbie's drifting more and more away towards darkness. Johnny's trying to figure out what role he has to play in this kid's life. His mother didn't, Miguel's mom, Carmen, did not want him part of it, but it's really all he's got. So he's basically picking himself up and sort of rebooting. And I love every scene you get to see Ed Asner in. I still don't know how the hell they got a legend like that, but he's always great as Sid. Great character. Really funny. Just a cantankerous old Jew. Just like we're gonna be when we're older. It's great stuff. But like I said, the only thing that weighs it down a little bit is the Tom Cole stuff to me. But everything else is terrific.
Thank you. Are you you done now? May I give my thoughts?
Yes.
Woo! Woo! Hey now. I'm going to hold off on the Tom Cole storyline for the next episode.
Okay.
I thought this was the other pieces I'll hold off. My favorite part is Johnny and Sid being a douche and Johnny grabbing that expensive whatever it was artifact and stealing it, outside the house.
Knowing Sid, it was like a vibrator made in made in Japan or something. It was some weird kind of contraption.
Yeah, I also enjoyed when Johnny goes for his job interview. Everything's going well, and then he asks him to explain his arrest record, and next thing you know, he's in the car, slamming on the, steering wheel. So.
And I love how they're never losing their sense of humor, even in moments of, pathos. They could still, find a way to ring out a laugh.
If you say pathos or fan service one more time, I'm climbing through this virtual. Well, I'm going to hold off on the Tom Cole Doyona because it does come up again in our next episode, Andrew, and it's time for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 4. The Right Path.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Daniel rejected. Okinawa has a mall? You seriously going to lecture me on fighting? My popularity is on the rise while yours is declining. Sort of a sexual Venn diagram. Great line. Hawk is a real douche. Hawk triggered in his safe space. Daniel visits Tom's village. Sato went retail. Reunited and it feels so good. We had one good day. I don't need you anymore. Soccer gets physical courtesy of Dimitri and everyone is sent to the principal's office. Daniel catches up with his old flame. You did the impossible. You brought Cobra Kai back to life. You brought me back to life. School sucks. I'll always be your teacher. Now go get it. Robbie gets a visitor and it's Kreese. And the last but not least, Chosen. Andrew Gruthius. Grew, your thoughts on episode 4, The Right Path?
I thought this was a perfect episode. There was not a moment that I didn't like. I love that Bobby goes to. I love that Bobby goes to see Robbie, and of course Johnny screws it up like he always does, which is in his nature. He's a very flawed hero. We know how good his intentions are, but he's still got a lot to learn about a lot of things, and that's what makes him so relatable in so many ways. I love the scene. Oh man, do I love the scene where he goes back to the hospital and Miguel is trying to say get it, don't, and then Johnny just says quiet, and then Miguel, the way Miguel just looks at him like freezes. I love that little moment there, and then he basically says, I'm still your teacher and I'm going to be training you, so let's go. Get this freaking thing. Get your phone. You want your phone? Go get it. I just absolutely love that dynamic. And Daniel in Tokyo sort of gets rejected a little bit by the company, Doyona, I think it was called. Right?
He did get rejected.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't.
He did, and then he makes a little detour in Okinawa and sees what Tomi Village has become. And at first we are like, holy crap, this is not what we were hoping for. But then he sees Kumiko and and all her plastic surgery, but she delivers. She gives a terrific performance. Their conversation is great, and that ending, we knew it was coming because they sort of revealed it in the trailer, but it was still the way they did it. We really didn't know if Chosen was there and ready to just kick the shit out of him again. So I love that ending. I love that they didn't bring in Chosen until the very end of that episode. This is a perfect episode. There's nothing that I have to critique. There's nothing that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And Hawk's backstory a little bit. I'm always interested in Hawk's backstory. You know, when he was bullied, and all that. So, and Jacob Bertrand, the actor, gives a terrific performance. Seeing both when he's, what?
Thank you, Jacob Bertrand.
That's the actor's name.
Are you? I mean, what's the purpose of this podcast? He's just going to sit there and give. Let me tell you what's going on here. Here's really what's going on.
Okay, what's really going on?
This is where I'm going to tell you what's going on.
What's going on?
He's going to goof on me, but this is where they start. This is where it starts to get a little wonky for me because I never bought into the Diona storyline. Mm-hmm. I don't know of a dealer who's going to travel all the way overseas to some mega car conglomerate to pitch his individual dealership. It didn't make sense to me. And now as a fan, I start to think that the sole purpose of Cobra Kai moving forward is they're going to try to wedge in every character in the goddamn universe. And it doesn't make sense. Kumiko, when he sees her, it lacked chemistry for me. It didn't really feel important. Now I'll talk about Chosen in the next episode. I mean, he gets to Okinawa. I like the storyline with the mall. It looks different. Okay, that could happen. I could see that. He hasn't been there in 35 years. But a guy, another car dealer trying to X out a guy with Toyota, and he's going to individually travel overseas and get a standing appointment with this mega car company. And he gets rejected, which, okay, I don't even think a guy's getting an appointment, but he gets rejected. He goes to Okinawa. It felt so forced to me. And I will only reference my own girlfriend, who's nowhere near the fan that you and I are. And Marie was like, that's how they're doing it? Nah. And I kind of felt the same way. Like, it's just now the show seems to like, let's wedge every name from the universe, and it didn't make sense. We know Allie's coming, and I'll get to that later on, but I was like, Kumiko, and you mentioned her plastic surgery. I mean, obviously I don't know about that, but it didn't feel important to me. It was like, it didn't feel important to me. It felt like just another scene, to be honest.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I disagree, but I respect that opinion, and I can see how you can see it that way. But here's my justification. Number one, it's very common for these people to go on these kinds of business trips. That doesn't mean that this is not an excuse to get him to Okinawa. Of course it is. But like I said, to me, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. But I don't look at it that way. I loved that moment where they first saw each other. I mean, they had a serious romance, back in Karate Kid 2. A lot of fans think that Kumiko was more of like the love of this guy's life more than Allie was from the first one. But I thought their scenes together were terrific. And I thought they did mean something because Daniel, this whole thing, the name of the episode is the right path. He's doing this because he's lost his balance. He's lost his way. And this trip is going to serve as sort of getting him back on the right path. Which is, I didn't even.
Nothing like a married man finding his old flame in a foreign country to get. But
that's not why he went there. But that's not why he went there.
It's hard for me to do a podcast about something, and you have virtually zero criticisms or anything to grist on. I mean, it just felt so forced. And I mean, listen, I'm not in the car dealership business, but a guy who owns an individual dealership is going to travel overseas. I mean, maybe for a show, a car show or something like that, but to have an individual sit down with some mega conglomeration, and then he goes to Tomei Village, and I don't remember. He just runs into Kumiko, like they're just walking on the street, and all of a sudden they bump into each other.
No,
maybe if
that's not what happened.
I don't remember.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. She was teaching her dance class in the middle of the square there, and he noticed her. Remember, Tommy Village is
silly.
Wait a minute.
So
Tommy Village was very, very small. So it makes perfect sense for him to run into her. And they didn't have a meet cute. He literally saw her in the distance dancing. You got a little flashback from her dancing from Karate Kid 2, and just the look on their faces was just it really hit home. It really did. For me, it did. You know, I can understand how people can consider it a little wonky and stuff. Like I said, that stuff doesn't bother me because
well, now really the show is the show. Big drawing call is going to be. This is where it loses it for me, because you could take Johnny and Daniel. They have a long-standing rivalry. I buy into that. You can bring in Kreese. He's got his own dojo. He had a store in town. Now it seems like the main calling card beyond the new cast is how can we squeeze in every old name, and you could see it coming from a million miles away. And I just felt like it, maybe if it's done better, and I'll talk about Chosen when we get to the next episode.
All right.
But it just felt, I'll tell you like now, Karate Kid, hold on. It just feels like the big other calling card is going to be how can we call back this guy, this old name, that old name.
See, I disagree. I think that's exactly what they asked themselves, but they asked themselves another question. They say, how can we bring this back in and make it mean something, like they did with Tommy in season 2? They have to connect it to what's going on in these people's lives. So here's what I was.
Tommy's an old friend that they grew up with.
Right.
That could happen in real life, but this guy traveling overseas, and all right, Tommy Village is small, but he just runs into her because she's teaching. I found it.
Well,
to be,
here's what I was afraid was going to happen, and this would make it absolutely ridiculous and stupid. I was afraid that they were going to have a whole situation where he kind of like is falling for Kumiko again and has some problems with his wife because of that. That would have been stupid. That would have been ridiculous. But to keep her in for one episode just to sort of refocus and have him sort of get reintroduced to Miyagi-Do, which he had kind of lost, to sort of show him the right path. That's the name of the episode. And then she's gone. But it connects him to show him what he needs to do when he gets back home. So that's why it works for me. And I don't think it's gratuitous the way you do. It's certainly, of course you have to stretch your imagination.
Did I say gratuitous? I said this is where it gets to, you talk about fan service, and I just think here, I'm seeing the pattern now that they're just going to try to wed the way I found this one, I didn't, I thought it was kind of
all right.
silly,
I disagree. I thought it was beautifully done.
Well, let's end the podcast because there's nothing to discuss. You loved it, and
why?
What else?
Do you want me to? Do you want me to make it up? Do you want?
Yes, I want you to love.
Should we do a podcast about stuff that we hate? That might be fun, actually.
Could be better conversation. All right, well then let's move on because I do have things to say about the Chosen interaction, which happens in our next episode breakdown. Gru, it's episode 5, Miyagi-Do.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Oh, this will be fun. Johnny, keep your opinion to yourself. Let me tell you about your dad. You might want to learn to strike first. Sam is sounding and acting more and more like Cobra Kai. What part of karate don't you understand? Chosen and Daniel got a lot to talk about. Johnny uses nudie mags to rehab Miguel. Chris is harassed at golf and stuff. Chosen and Daniel square off all those years later. Honk. Can I borrow Miguel for a few hours? Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai square off. Robbie and Sean square off. Sam LaRusso, where are you, bitch? Sam has a panic attack. Hawk breaks Dimitri's arm. Daniel and Chosen reconcile and say goodbye. Miguel and Johnny go on a field trip to see Dee Snider, the most badass rocker ever. Robbie and Sean are cool, we think. Yuna is now a VP. Amanda and Kreese end in a slap. Allie Mills Schwarber sends a friend request and Johnny accepts. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Andrew Gruthius, miraculous pathos. Your thoughts on episode 5, Miyagi-Do.
Couple things I didn't like about this episode. Just a couple things. Couple things I didn't like. I'm not invested in Robbie and Robbie's issues with the kids in the juvie hall.
You don't think that was actually kind of like what would ring true? You don't think that the white kid would get his ass kicked? The
only reason is because I think he would, but we don't really get to know that guy or those guys at all. It's
Sean. Yeah. I agree with that, but again, I'm not saying it's done. Hold on, I'm not saying it's done well.
Yeah.
But I could believe that a kid goes into juvie and he gets challenged by other kids.
That's good, but I just don't think that whole thing is, they don't spend enough time with it it's just like, all right, we're cutting to Robbie getting his ass kicked again by the same kid. You know, we're not even getting to know him. So I'm not fully invested in that. What else didn't I love? I'm just trying to remember all the things you went over.
Well, it's definitely a busy episode. And by the way, I don't want you to criticize something if you don't really feel it.
No. I'm being honest. I love every episode. That doesn't mean I love everything that's in every episode. So I'm just trying to think.
Let me throw some points and maybe you comment? Okay.
Yeah, go.
All right. So here's where I wanted to talk about Chosen. Again, I didn't buy how they got there, but when they got there, this interaction I liked a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel and Chosen. Because at first Chosen, I was almost like autistic. He one-word answers and he's really rigid. And as time goes by, you see that they spar and they have some real, and it kind of felt authentic and real to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how they got there, but when they got there, it looked like two old rivals. They talk, they spar, and they put those old demons to rest. And Chosen even, I think, starts to talk to him a lot about the philosophy of Miyagi-Do. I think he gives him some kind of gift. I don't remember.
A scroll.
I don't know what it was.
A Miyagi-Do scroll, yeah.
He gives him the scroll. Comparative to the Kamiko interaction, I didn't like how they got there, but once they got there, I thought they did a good job with Chosen. The honk, you could see that from a million miles away. I'm fine with that. It's a little gimmicky, but I'll say they earned that one.
Yeah.
Listen to Dee Snider. It was kind of silly, the concert, but I bought into it.
I loved it. All
right.
But
I don't know. A kid who's in a sense, paralyzed with an injury. I don't think he's regaining his strength at the Dee Snider concert, but it was kind of silly, but I bought into it fine. I mean, I know you're a Dee Snider mark, so,
well, I certainly am, and I thought he certainly sounded great. But I love seeing them. I love seeing Johnny and Miguel at this thing with the selfies that they're taking. And even what Johnny's wearing is great. That jean cutoff jacket. I love that shit, And yes, I was moved by the toe tapping. It really got me, because they're not just showing this thing just to show it. Everything is moving the plot along. You're 100% on point with, as far as I'm concerned, about the Chosen thing. I love it. The whole, it's a movie's worth of a relationship in one episode, going from point A to point B. I love how they start, and I love what?
You know what you should be?
What?
You should be the guy that for every movie there's that quote on the bottom of the poster. Like
yeah.
Andrew Corthians.
Yeah.
Florida Standard. I loved it. I laughed. I cried. But mostly I laughed.
But I do love how their dynamic progresses as time goes on. Of course, you see the honk coming a mile away, but that's part of the joy of this whole thing because you can't wait to see it. And then Chosen, I thought Chosen was like messing with his head the whole time. I didn't think
you're probably right.
That's what I thought.
You're probably right.
But either way, their chemistry is terrific. They work together beautifully. And now I'll tell you one thing I really did not like about the episode.
What was that?
Okay. I do love the fact that they somehow work in the girl that he saved in Karate Kid 2.
Stupid.
But
now she's
the fact that I'm 100% on you. I'm like, all right, that's a little bit too far. Like, that doesn't.
Every scene, to quote Andrew Groothius, everything matters. Every moment.
Well, it does. It does connect to the plot.
Now you're pissing me off again.
Why?
Now you're upsetting me because they brought that stupid plot. Now the little girl on the
right.
On the
I just said I didn't like it. I just said what? If I love it, you get mad. If I don't like it, you get mad.
Fucking crap. What do you? I'll write it. I'll do it live.
I do agree. It was stupid. I do like the fact that he got to see her again. But to make her like sort of repaying her debt to him by saving his company doesn't work for me. And I also didn't like. I wasn't sold on. Usually, I love everything that Daniel's wife does because I think she's fantastic. Her increase that scene, I didn't quite buy it. The slap,
actually,
I didn't quite buy it.
That. I like that because she's kind of like the ballsy wife.
Yeah,
Daniels can't slap Kreese in a sense that could be bad.
Yeah,
but
maybe
no one
maybe just something about it didn't fire for me. But I don't know. It just didn't. Maybe I think because it's clear that she doesn't touch him. Like it's not like you could see that the slap isn't real. That she didn't even touch him. Maybe that was it.
My favorite line is Johnny calling WebMD Webem.
Yeah, Webem. Now is this the episode? Because there is a moment in this season that's my literal favorite moment of the entire series. This is not where he. Well, I'm going to give it away. So I'm going to wait to see if you do the. I'm going to wait to see if it's in the recap of the next episode because it's either in this episode or the next one. But yeah, so. I love the Chosen stuff wins the episode. That's the centerpiece of this thing. There are a couple weak things surrounding it, but the Chosen stuff really, really hammers it home. So, yeah.
What about Hawk breaking Dimitri's arm?
Oh,
pretty intense.
I didn't like that either. I thought that was too far. There are things that would never happen that you could buy. This would never happen and you don't buy it. Hawk would be arrested. No matter what. What is Dimitri going to do when he goes home to his parents? Oh, I fell. I mean,
Oh, now you want to bring in realism. Now you want to talk about
but sometimes they go too far when they don't have to. He didn't have to break his arm to really push him over the edge. He had already gone that far. But I think the point of him breaking his arm was for us to focus on Sam and her being frozen, not trying to stop it. I thought they could have found a better way to do that than have Hawk break Dimitri's arm. It was a little too. It was too much. But again, at this point, all right, you got me. I'm digging for criticisms, and that's a criticism. Definitely a criticism.
I didn't tell you to dig for anything.
No, but I understand what you're saying, and it does seem like I just have a blind loyalty to everything, and I do have to look for things that I want to nitpick a little bit.
Look, you have no credibility as a reviewer.
Well, that's why that explains my salary.
Yeah, right. Sorry, Sam's got panic attacks. That was my Artie Lang.
The girl did kind of try to kill her. In the,
all right. Well, look. Let's move on to. It's time for another Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. We're moving on. It's episode 6, King Cobra.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Marion Cobretti. I just said that.
Wait till our Cobra podcast.
It's another Kreese flashback. Cobra Kai goes a recruiting. Kyler and Brooks are back, and Hawk is none too pleased. Kreese has filed a restraining order against Amanda. The Lip brutalizes Brooks, and I mean brutalizes him. Johnny gets an online presence. Miguel and Tori meet, and it doesn't go very well. Armand is still a fat slob and is now offered a bribe, courtesy of the LaRussos. Terry Silver, you helped a bunch of people and you left like a pussy. You're a sensei. Johnny's Facebook shift. Allie gets the message. You can't end a war with diplomacy. And snakes in your car. Let's go to Andrew Gruthius. Another busy episode. Gru, episode 6, King Cobra.
Yes, I love this episode, but I will also say it's probably the weakest of the season, if not the weakest of the series, because it's so busy with a lot of things that don't seem to matter that much, and it keeps trying to stretch the imagination. The whole thing with the landlord and the
silly,
and he files a restraining. That's straight out of Cape Fear. He goes, they go to file a restraining order against him to find out that he's filed a restraining order against them. That was kind of silly. The Cobras in the dealership. No, sorry. All of these are felonies, and then, it's just it's unnecessary. They didn't need to do that, but it's saved by my favorite moment in the entire series, and that is Johnny's message to Allie on Facebook when he's typing it, and you hear his thoughts in his head. And he's like, yes, I'm training these kids and they're giving me a new lease on life. And this is, I'm really trying to find my blah, 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 blah. All these, these deep thoughts that the audience, it's very important for us to know how he's feeling inside. And then he's like, then the music changes. You're like, wait, no, too long. He erases the whole thing, then just writes, not much you, and then just the smirk on his face. I'm like, that is the perfect moment and the perfect thing. I must have rewound and watched that thing over and over again, that little moment there. And the reason that it, besides being hilarious and true, the reason, the genius of it is that it gives the audience a pipeline into Johnny's head while still keeping his outward emotions in check, which is very important to the character of Johnny. And I absolutely flipped for that little moment there. But yeah, the episode is it's doing mop up work. Hawk beating on that kid that's another felony. I mean, it's cool. You're sitting there yeah, but at the same time you're like, all right, this is a little fucked up,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, now you find realism. I mean,
no, it's not. It's got because when it's unnecessary, you don't. When they do things that seem to be designed just to get fan reaction and not mean anything deeper, and sometimes they go a little too far. In this instance, I felt they went a little too far because it wasn't necessary. He could have gotten his revenge on the bully in a more realistic and meaningful way instead of just literally those punches would kill somebody. I mean,
now not buying your criticism. I mean,
why?
You're talking about a bunch of because that's my opinion, and I'm going to speak my opinion. You've just had 4 minutes to vomit up your thoughts on this episode. I mean, you got a bunch of new kids. Kreese has gone recruiting, and Hawk's going to keep his turf, and so he's going to make an example out of somebody, and that's one of the kids that used to bully him. I think the biggest thing in this episode is, Johnny's social media presence. I mean, he starts off, I think, isn't this where he starts off, him and Miguel, they're taking photos,
yes.
and he's trying to give a very
Yes, I love that stuff. Yes.
And then Miguel, I think, says to him, what are you doing? Show the real you. And he begins to change it, and he shows pictures of, when he was a sensei, and Cobra Kai, and Miguel, and helping him out, and to give a more authentic version of him.
Yeah, and I actually love that. This is like the Silver Spoons kind of dynamic. He's like, Miguel is helping Johnny with these things, and for some reason I love that dynamic there. I love how they're each filling. You're gonna punch me, but they're each filling the void. Johnny's the father that he never knew, and Miguel is becoming everything that he had hoped to have in Robbie, but screwed up. They're each getting a second chance, and that kind of dynamic where, Robbie, he's bringing Miguel to the concert, and Miguel is showing him how to do this stuff online. Like, I just love that. These guys are so good together. And every moment they have on screen is terrific, and this is no exception.
I wish I had a plate of pancakes, because I'd pour the syrup from your comments all over your sugary sweet. All right.
In the meantime, can you put your microphone closer to your mouth?
Oh, sorry. All right, well,
so I can hear your insults better and clearer.
Yes. This is more apropos. It's starting to heat up. Let's move on. It's time for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 7, Obstacuelos. I think.
Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown.
I think.
Obstacuelos. There's a dream duel. The wheelchair gets trashed. Miyagi-Do reopening. Welcome back, Miguel. We got a lot to catch up on. Johnny goes a-looking. I told you, Dad, I quit karate. He's not my sensei anymore. Dimitri gets bullied again. Sam confesses. They all drank the Kool-Aid. Johnny pitches the new dojo. I got up, I finished the fight, and I won. I love your big dick. Show me cast the rod. I told you Cobra Kai for life. Johnny and Kreese go their separate ways. All that and more. Andrew Gruthius, your thoughts on episode 7, Obstacuelos.
Is this the one where where Daniel and Sam go fishing?
Yes.
Okay. That, to me, is the centerpiece of this episode. It's like the chosen Daniel thing from the previous one. This is the most important thing that's happening here. I love how he brings up how they connect his fear and the Miyagi, from Karate Kid 3, because Karate Kid 3 is a bad movie, and it's tough for them. It's got to be tough for them to make stuff from that movie matter. And I go back to the Creed Rocky IV thing. We know Rocky IV is not a good movie, but Creed 2, some of the things that they did make some of the things in Rocky IV better than they were back then. They do the same thing here with that moment where Miyagi tells him must not lose to fear, and yells at him for the first time, and that really brings Sam and Daniel to a point in their relationship that we haven't seen yet. So that was a terrific scene. I think it was Macchio's best acting that he's done in this series so far. And the rest of the episode is really setting up everything for leading towards the finale here. Is this the one? Is this also the one where they? No, I think it's next one where they get the All Valley tournament. They have that issue. I think that's the next episode. Am I right about that?
Yes.
I'm just asking. I'm not giving away anything. I'm just asking. But yeah.
Why don't you go, hey, is this the one where it ends with the cliffhanger and JR was shot?
Listen, I watched the...
Captain Steubing fell over the love.
You know what? Honestly, you know why I have to ask these questions? Because I watch it a little bit differently than you. You watched... It took you a few weeks to watch it. Me, I watched it all as one long loop. Like, I didn't take a break. I binged the whole thing, the first day it was out. So I kind of lose track as to like what episode is what episode, because to me it's a 5.5 hour movie. So, and that's, I'm not saying.
Yeah, I watch with my laptop on my lap, and I'm taking notes as we go along. Yeah, I agree with you. There's like a lot going on, but there's not like a main kind of plot. I agree. It's sort of building to the next couple of episodes. Yes, I agree. Obviously they put in Karate Kid 3 here, and yeah, it works for me because I like when Daniel says, "I got up, I finished the fight, and I won," and he's kind of mentoring his daughter.
Right.
Got a mild chuckle with I don't know, I forget the name of the character, the super hot popular girl who comes back in season 3, the blonde. And she writes on Dimitri's cast. I love the big dick.
Oh, God damn it. I should know this.
I think Kyler draws a big penis on his cast.
Yeah.
And Dimitri can't do nothing about it.
Oh, my God. I'm supposed to know this. Yes. Well, I'll remember it later.
And I think here the biggest thing is at the very end, Johnny and Kreese officially go their separate ways.
Yes. And that's important. And, the flashbacks, again, emotionally work. It's just a little jarring to see because they look a little cheap,
Well, I think this one opens with Sam's dream sequence. She squares off against Tori.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was hearkening back to the.
All right, please let me run the deal. I got the facts right in front of me.
Okay.
He's like, is this the one where Johnny wakes up drunk and is a handyman?
No, that's season 1.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, look, this is. I got a lot of thoughts. We're getting down to as they say, the Tradio nitty gritty. It's time for a nothing worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 8. The good, the bad, the badass.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Kreese is everyone's problem now. Both of you, stay out of my life. Sam bumps into an old friend. I'm 101% in love. Take it easy, Sensei. Great line. Ass face is fine. The All Valley Karate Tournament is canceled. At least I know who I am. Johnny and Carmen have a moment. Daniel, Kreese, and Johnny all make their case. Sit down, all of you. Miguel and Sam make their case. A friendly sparring session goes down. You two deserve each other. Johnny and Carmen, thank God. Robbie and Kreese. All this and more. Andrew Grithius, your thoughts on episode 8, the good, the bad, the badass.
Well, as you can see, I'm wearing my Eagle Fang karate shirt. Right?
Is this the episode that officially introduces Eagle Fang?
I think so.
Eagle
episode 8,
episode
right?
9.
Oh, is it 9?
Oh.
Okay, like I said, you know why I have trouble with that. Because
yeah, let's not worry about facts in a good broadcast. Let's just
Okay. Yes, I actually love this thing where they have to go and fight to get the tournament back on. I really do like that. I like the fact that they're kind of like that for even a brief moment. All 3 of them are on the same side. They're fighting.
Are they really though?
Well, no, but it's like they're all trying to. They all have the same goal here, and I like that. Okay. I like that shot of them all having to sit together. Actually, I did see a funny thing, one of those memes today where it was like Kreese, Johnny, and Bernie Sanders. Like have you seen those? Have you seen those things with Bernie Sanders sitting? You haven't? You don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't get. I'm done with it already. I mean,
I think it's been a day. It's been a day. Yeah,
I have a very short attention span.
I think they're really funny, but yeah, I mean this episode is about the wedges sort of dividing between Robbie and Goodness. He's really drifting toward to Kreese now. You can see where he's going. Yes, is everything telegraphed? Absolutely, but it's always been like that. And yeah, this is there's not much to criticize here as far as I'm concerned.
No, obviously Sam kind of reheats it up with Miguel, and my favorite storyline is Johnny and Carmen, and I'm like, I'm secretly touching myself talking about it, but I just love that. I love that storyline.
I do too.
Was glad to see them hook it up. And,
absolutely.
Not much more to say. So let's keep on going. Let's move on to episode 9. It's time for another one. Episode 9. Episode 9. Feel the night.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Okay, here we go. Feel the night. Allie is here, but why? It's been a long time since I've been in this situation.
Can you say that the way you're supposed to say it, please?
Allie's here, but what?
There you go. Thank you.
She's here.
Thank you very much.
My favorite line, and Johnny, I could sympathize. It's been a long time since I've been in this situation. Robbie and Cobra Kai, after all these years, Johnny and Allie. Come on, Dad, it's not 1984. Allie, the good wife, ex-wife. Johnny Lawrence, apologize? Seriously, I'm sorry. Robbie steals a snake. Miguel and Daniel find common ground. One All-Valley champ to another. Golf and stuff. Sam and Miguel. And Kreese admits they make a pretty good team. Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do. Rivalry renewed. Andrew Guthius, please give your thoughts. Sounds like a Lionel Richie song. Feel the night.
Well, you know that song. It's from the original movie. Did you not realize that?
What is it, like a B-side from Loverboy?
No, well, I don't even know. I think it's Baxter Robinson who sings that song, but it's you didn't recognize it? The song that they play on Johnny and Allie's date at Golf and Stuff is the same song that they play on Daniel and Allie's date at Golf and Stuff from the first movie.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know what that in depth. I don't know what that in depth.
Well, I'm
please
just
give me your thoughts on episode 9.
Okay, so this is the thing that I was worried about the most, because we knew that Allie was going to come in at some point. Was it going to make sense? Was it going to be done right? Was it going to be just fan service? Was it going to be silly? And I have to say, I don't think they could have done it better. And here's why. Because by starting the episode with Allie, I knew it was going to be done right. Because what I didn't want was, like you said, like you didn't like how Daniel just ran into Kumiko. And that's where we see her. You know, to you that didn't ring true. I didn't mind it. This is to know that Allie was there, to know that Allie was home, sort of sets up our, okay, it's going to be interesting. Who's going to see her first? What's going to happen? And it's getting everything off on the right foot instead of just having her just drop in from out of nowhere and all of a sudden like, oh my God, there she is. Here she is starting the episode, and her dynamic with Johnny, filling in some gaps as far as their relationship, where they were before Daniel came onto the scene, was great to hear and sort of visualize in a way. The acting is terrific. Elizabeth Shue looks beautiful, aged beautifully. You don't think so?
I do.
You're making a yummy sound.
She's great in The Boys. She's great in the show The Boys.
And I thought she was terrific here. I had read a couple of reviews before seeing it, and there were some criticisms about her, so I was a little concerned, but it was alleviated immediately.
Big word.
I think that's the heart of this episode. I love. By the way, that girl's name is Yasmin, the girl who signs Dimitri's cast. I had forgotten it, but I just remembered Yasmin.
Thank you, Andrew.
I just want to, my Cobra Kai IQ drop. But yeah, and this is where
episode 9.
This is where we get to meet Eagle Fang, which I think is a hilarious scene. You know, he's like, what has bigger fangs, or what's bigger, what eats cobras? Eagles. And they're like, eagles don't have fangs. He's like, shut up, you know, or quiet. Like, I just love all that. I love how they found Johnny's niche and they're sticking to it. They're not deviating from it. And I just love, because everything, it just all works because that's who he is. And that's why we love him, and that's why he's the centerpiece of this show. And his performance just keeps getting better and better every episode. This one's no exception. And like I said, the heart of the episode is what makes it work the best, him and Allie, and I love it.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I was shockingly when Elizabeth Shue's first on screen, it didn't have the hold. I mean, this is a real major character drawback. Mm-hmm. But I did like the way they did it, and it pays off in episode 10. And I'll tell you why when we get to there. So, it did feel kind of realistic. It feels like two old flames kind of catching up. It didn't seem forced. They don't really throw the romance angle down your throat with it. They kind of tease around the edges with it. So I no complaints really there. I like Miguel and Daniel find common ground. I think Daniel says to him, one All Valley champ to another. Mm-hmm. That was a nice little touch. Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do, and sort of the rivalry renewed. Here's what I'll say. For me, this episode, maybe shockingly enough, I'm actually at this point more invested in some of the kid stuff than the older character stuff. I really, I could not wait to see where they go with the dojos in the final episode. And, listen, I'm always curious about Allie.
That's a hell of a compliment, though.
Okay. I mean, the kid stuff really takes center stage, and I mean, that's really, I don't have much more to say.
That's like I said, that's a hell of a compliment for us to be. Like I said, what's so great about this show that other franchises have been unable to do is that we are just as invested in the new characters, if not more, than the old characters. And we're all in with everybody. Is there any character here that we follow throughout the series that you're not interested in, that any time they come on screen you're like, him or her again? Is there any one of these like, and I'm not talking about the ones that appear like, fleetingly in this episode and then in that. I'm talking about whose narratives we are supposed to be invested in. That's not working for you? No, I mean,
if there was one blow-off character, and it's not when I say blow-off, I kind of never really got into Amanda's vibe, but here she's got a little bit of an attitude. She takes more of an aggressive stance against Kreese, and I kind of liked it. So, no, it's not a character.
You didn't feel that Amanda, like, especially in season 2 when she was laying down the law with Daniel, like saying you're being an idiot here. You're not. This is not what you're about. Like, and she forces him to sleep on the couch because he was just causing so much trouble, and he was becoming so wrapped up in this nonsense. And I felt that, I think she's really funny sometimes when she's just looking at him like he's just such an idiot. And, cause sometimes we want to say that to him. We want to like sit him down and saying, what the hell are you doing? You got a great life here. Why are you getting yourself into this nonsense?
Yeah, again, I'm just giving you my opinion.
Yeah.
You asked me, and if there was a character, perhaps I was a little, it didn't really move me, but I liked her in this season. So
yeah, but all the
there's
kids,
no time. There's nothing wasted, Andrew. Every plot point moves ahead to the. There's not one breath. It's breathless, miraculous, and
he's using my own words against me. All right,
it should win a Walter Winchell, Cecil Day, whatever. I mean,
Cecil B. DeMille.
Look, I got a lot of thoughts about the finale. So let's get to our final episode breakdown. It's episode 10, December 19th.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
We got a lot of bullet points here to cover,
Yes.
a little bit more than the typical episode.
Yep.
So we got Kreese and Terry Silver flashback. Allie, is it really you? Eagle Fang, weird name by the way. Cobra Kai makes their way to the LaRusso residence. Hanging at the country club. Sam and Tori square off yet again. And the truth is, you are more alike than you want to admit. Time for Daniel to go. The good times far outweigh the bad. Hawk is sorry for all of it. Miguel is back and thanks Kyler for the motivation. Tori leaves, but it's not over. Allie leaves. Will she return? So this is why Terry Silver owes Kreese. What took you so long? Johnny's last chance with Kreese. Son versus father. Daniel intervenes with a little help from Chosen. Kreese is spared. We lose. I go. Kreese calls an old friend. In the air tonight. Everything else, I'm exhausted. I'm taking a sip of my water. It's the finale. It's the last episode of season 3. Gru, thoughts on December 19th?
Actually, do you mind if we go backwards on this one, and you tell me your thoughts, and then I go?
Okay. You want me to go from chronological order?
I'd like to hear. All right.
So,
what you have to say.
I know why. 'Cause he's just going to rip me right now.
I am not.
But,
I do not do that.
Again, you get to see the payoff on the flashbacks, and it feels, while I enjoyed it, it feels forced because we know Terry Silver is going to be the calling card for season 4. So, and again, instead of somehow, I don't know, the show is beginning to fall into some parody lines with me, like, if there's going to be a new season, you're getting some old callback. And while I can't say when you get to it, I hate it. It just feels, again, kind of forced. So there's my first criticism. Let's see here. Allie leaves, and I liked it. Because it did feel, you get a sense that they're teasing perhaps a Johnny romance. And again, I think I could be wrong, but Johnny makes his way back to Carmen, which I liked, which ties into, again, the Cobra Kai goes to LaRusso residence, and again, it's a full-blown schmaz. Could you criticize that? Is it a little bit over the top? Yes, but here, I liked it because, again, the stuff at the school, at the mall, you're going to have security. You're going to have people there to break it up. I mean, as a school administrator, I've never been there in person, but I've heard kids in groups gangbusting their way to a kid's house and ending up on the lawn. And so, again, is it over the top? Yes. To quote Andrew, perhaps they've earned it. I didn't mind it. And, of course, like everybody else, Hawk does he goes full-blown baby face. And again, is it a little gimmicky? But I liked it. I mean, they're angling towards it the whole time. And again, he says, I'm sorry for all of it. Dimitri could be like, yo, F you effing broke my arm. But they team up, and again, it's a buddy cop, it's Tango and Cash, and they're beating everybody. It's, choreographed karate, but I didn't mind it. I liked it. The ending, Kreese literally tries to murder Johnny. Perhaps that's a wee bit over the top. Again, as Andrew has mentioned, you got a lot of this bumps and Three's Company type shit. Johnny bangs it to Robbie. He gets knocked out in the lockers. Again, a little gimmicky. The ending with, Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fan training together at Miyagi-Do, I liked it. Again, gimmicky, but I liked it. I guess my biggest criticism would be, Terry Silver's coming for season 4. And again, while I'm sure I won't mind it, how they got there was a little bit bullcrap to me. The other stuff, it borders on kind of being over the top where you can go, this is ridiculous. But it's just enough that I bought into it, and so it certainly made me interested and excited for season 4. So again, that's my thoughts. I don't know if I articulated myself well.
You
but
did.
That's how I thought.
You
about
did,
it.
and we agree on everything. Surprisingly, except I think I liked it a lot better than you did, because you're saying how it was an over the top, yes, but I liked it. I would say it was over the top, yes, but I absolutely loved it. Because of my investment in each of these storylines, and they're all now coming together, and they're firing on all cylinders. Yes, I do agree that the fight at Daniel's house is as crazy and nuts as it is. It's more believable than the school one. And I love Hawk's face turn. Yes, they were teasing it the whole time, and I wanted to see it the whole time. This show telegraphs every punch and every kick to be transparent. But that's kind of to me, that's part of the charm of it. And they do, and I want to get to Allie and Johnny in a second, but they do something really smart here, because, and I'm gonna go back a little bit, because as we know, at the end of last season they teased Allie's return, but I do know that at the time they didn't know if they were going to be able to get Elizabeth Shue. She had not agreed to do it, so they had a plan B, like to back that up. They did not paint themselves into a corner, and they don't do that here. They don't. I mean, it's obvious who he's calling, but they can write themselves out of it if the actor is not available, or if they don't.
Oh, come on!
No, I'm just saying.
Silver is going to be the main.
Obviously, and I hope that he is. But very smartly, they didn't back themselves into any corner that they can't write themselves out of. But my theory is that Terry Silver's been bankrolling Kreese the whole time. I said that last week. So I don't.
Shocking.
Yeah,
shocking theory.
Nothing is shocking, but I don't need it to be shocking. It's now the Allie and Johnny thing. My theory is, I think the way this whole thing played out, from all the stuff at the country club with Daniel and Allie and Johnny and Allie, I thought it was so well done.
I agree.
So well done. I don't see how it could have been better. Johnny, I think they show us that Allie may be the love of Johnny's life, but Johnny is in love with Carmen.
I agree.
And that's what I love about it. And when they play, like, even down to the song choice, the Journey song at the Open Arms, as he's turning on the charm, he sees the minivan, he's like, can I give you a ride? And she's like, I got to go back to my parents. And he literally goes right home to Carmen, and he wants to tell her he loves her. And then obviously all hell breaks loose. But I hope Allie does not come back. She did what she needed to do. She brought Daniel and Johnny together. She made them realize that, in a way that they kind of need each other. She closed the book on Daniel. She closed the book on Johnny. Why should she be involved in any? I think her job is done. I don't need to see her again.
May I add to your points?
Of course.
Actually, that one I completely agree with you. It would have felt almost a bit on parody if, one of them went, I'm leaving my wife. I'm going.
Yeah.
So I agree. It felt like some old flames. There's some on the fringes, romance talk. But they realize, even Daniel, what they have and the good solid place that they're at. And I did absolutely, the one schmaltzy thing I bought into was, I love when Johnny went to see Carmen. Obviously he sees Miguel all bruised up.
Yeah.
But I was so, I just love that. I love that storyline because, we've all, we've all had, we live in apartment complexes. You meet somebody passing in the hallway and you see him again. It just felt really nice to me, and I love that Carmen character. First of all, I think she's beautiful, the actress.
Yes.
I don't even know who she is, but I was rooting for them. I was rooting for Johnny to stay with the original flame, and he did. He made the right choice. So I agree with you. It felt kind of realistic, and I agree. Did they leave it open where they could call back Allie? Perhaps, but I agree with you. You got your big fanboy moment. You brought back your character. No need, because for me, this season, there's stuff that I criticize, but I really super bought into the kids almost more than the adults.
Yeah.
Like I want to see Sam and Tori and Miguel and Hawk. I want to see Dimitri, where they take these kids. And now it's been 3 seasons. You've seen Daniel and Johnny interact, and I'm sure there's more area to mine. And I'm certainly interested, but I really want to see season 4. You got 3 dojos now. I want to see where the kids go. And obviously we didn't even talk about, Kreese. They have the big brawl at the end, and Kreese says, "You know what? Let's settle it at the All Valley tournament. We lose, I'm out. You lose, you're out." So obviously there's a dynamic there, and I could see that happening amongst adults saying,
"Sure,
hey, this is our little side bet going into the tournament." I said a lot. I'll shut up.
What was your reaction when you saw it? The last 90 seconds when Daniel and Johnny joined forces, and you got Johnny comes in on the drum beat of In the Air Tonight. What was your reaction?
I said it was an emotional response. I very much am looking forward to season 4. You're mentioning the fight. I actually thought the Kreese, he grabs the dagger. That to me was even a little bit more over the top than the kids stuff. I don't know, they're almost insinuating that Kreese could have killed Johnny if Daniel had not came in and intervened, and he used the chosen technique, which I'm fine with. It's a little drawback again to an earlier plot point in the season, so I'm fine with all of it. So to answer your question, as a fan, emotional response, In the Air Tonight. We love that song, to see those guys training together. And it's a new dynamic. Now you're insinuating that if they're friends or colleagues or allies, so you're curious to see where that relationship goes. But this season, I really bought into the kids. All those kids, I want to see even more where they go in season 4, because at some point, you can't continue this freaking Hatfield and McCoy's off crazy rivalry. They got to take it somewhere else.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming, and so I'm curious where they go with all that.
You're absolutely right. Well, the creators have said that they have mapped out 6 seasons, which would leave three to go. So that's interesting in and of itself. But my question to you is the same question you asked me earlier about seasons 1 and 2. What are your now official rankings, and then I'll give you mine as far as the seasons go.
Of course, you'll go last, but I will.
Okay, you want me to go first? I can go first.
No. I'm going to give you mine. It goes in chronological order. Season 1, I think, is the best. Best favorite? Yeah, I'll go 1, 2, and 3. I was turned off in a little bit to season 3 with 2 points. I made it clear. I never bought into that whole Dayona storyline. Right. Kamiko, I thought, was kind of lame. Chosen. They got there. I didn't like how they got there, but I liked that interaction. And you could see Terry Silver from a mile away. I don't know. That bothered me. The flashbacks, at first I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, because I want to see the psychology of Sensei Kreese. He's a fucked up guy. He's had a lot of stuff happen to him. And at first they have a callback to like the swinging 50s. And so you're wondering, it's a very sort of idealistic, kind of period for our country. And so you want to see, how did this guy get, and you see that he gets sucked into the military and of course, it's interesting to see how the Terry Silver, but now I'm like, well, you're getting Terry. And again, I know you're telling me it's not a guarantee, but I'm betting dollars to donuts, brother.
I hope you're right.
Season 4, you're getting Terry Silver.
I hope so.
We've read, I've referenced articles on the podcast, researching Terry Silver. So, I mean, if you're a producer or whatever, you're making sure that Terry Silver, I can't imagine there's not going to be a Terry Silver in season 4. But to answer your question, 1, 2, and 3 would go, and again, it's real close, but I thought season 1 was the best.
Okay. I am going I'm going in the absolute opposite direction.
Oh no.
My favorite season My favorite, as far as what I think is the best season quality-wise, I think is 2. But my favorite,
that's the question. Okay.
But my favorite season is 3, and I'll tell you why briefly.
See, there he goes. This is what everything's a qualifier. It's best season, favorite season, most. He's going to have 6 lists, 6 different permutations.
Only two. Quality-wise, I said the second season's probably the most consistent quality, but this one was my favorite because it brought out the most emotion in me. It had me sitting on the edge of my couch. More than either of the other two. I was actually yelling at people who weren't there more in this one, that it got to me more. It moved me more in many different ways. The last episode to me is one of my favorite 45 minutes of television that I've seen in so many different ways. And it just reaffirms my love for this entire, not just this show, but this entire universe. Like I'm looking at the old movies differently now, and I love them even more. And it's because of what they're able to do with this narrative. And
I'm glad that your commentary is not somewhat over the top. Looking at movies differently.
What's wrong with that, though?
When I step outside, the air is fresher, the food is crisper.
Well, yes, my food does taste better, which thank God, because if I couldn't taste it, that means I have COVID.
Well,
but,
look,
that's how I feel.
I got to go pee. I got to eat lunch, but I want to comment on what I want to. I thought
Please.
season 3 was the most hammy, the most gimmicky. I still really liked it. But season 1 was a revelation because we didn't know what to expect. You know, we thought it could be just a fun nostalgia trip. We thought it could be Tango and Cashish.
Right.
And, you know, to take it to Johnny's perspective, and he's a drunk, and you know, Daniel's, he's a pillar in the community, cars sale. I was blown away. Now, I mean, obviously they set the bar high.
So the novelty's worn off a little bit, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And so that's why for me, I've really started I found myself, you know, almost after Allie leaves, I almost I compartmentalized it and I went, you know what? I'm really digging the kid stuff now. Like I kind of love Johnny, love Daniel, love Amanda, love all that stuff. But you know, Tori and Sam got a real rivalry. Dimitri, Hawk, Kyler, all these, they're interesting characters, and I'm very interested to see where they go with the kids, the school, well, you know. So anyway,
so you're going to keep your Netflix subscription.
Yeah, they just raised the price apparently.
Did they really?
Bastards.
Well, I guess I'll finally have to get rid of YouTube Red.
Yes, I'll have to get rid of XTube Red as well.
Nice. No, we never get rid of those.
All right, listen, Andrew, it's been a blast. Karate Kid universe. Wow.
Close the book.
This took us into January. Well, we had some COVID delays in production, infighting, just like Karate Kid.
Exactly.
Lots of dramatics. As we put the Karate Kid universe to bed until season 4, that's a wrap on the Karate Kid Cobra Kai universe. Gru, you want to take us out of here?
I will do just that. Evan, as always, the pleasure was all yours. This was a great journey down memory lane, some twists and turns of our own. And until then, 1, 2, 3.
Rip 'em. Web 'em.
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack. Oh, yeah.